just kind of gave up and I said, okay, things are not working out. I don't know why. I'm just going to start a blog. So I started a blog. I also started talking about my experiences at my previous employer, just with the abuse and the bullying and all of that. And I just became very open about it. And I started getting followers from that, and people started reading my stuff and reading, just things I had to say and sending me messages about it. And then I got a note one day from a literary crowdfunding agency. And they have an office in New York, and also I think they're in the Netherlands or something. Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, have you ever thought about writing a book? And at the time I had picked up my book again, and I was like on the third edit or something. And I was like, I'd started thinking, okay, I think I want to finish this and see if I could find an agent or find a publisher this year. And he messaged me, it was July of last year. And I was like, oh, well, actually I've got a book done. He was like, great, we can do this next month. And I was like, oh, and I was really afraid because, as an artist, it's scary to put yourself out there. I was really afraid, and I was like, okay, I'm just not sure if I'm ready. I'm not quite done with my third edit. And he was like, well, it's kind of now or never, is kind of how it works. And so I was like, okay, let's go. And so I ran a campaign last August to try to drum up enough interest and enough pre-orders to get the attention of a publisher. And I did really well. I sold 151 copies in 30 days, which was pretty good for like an unknown person. And that didn't get me a publisher. And so what happened was one of those random people that had stumbled across my work happened to be a freelance editor for a publisher. Mm-hmm. And she said, hey, would you like me to introduce you to the editor-in-chief? Have you found somebody? And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. And they're the publisher that I ended up signing with. They are a hybrid publisher. They don't accept everybody. They do have standards. Their books win awards and things like that. It was an investment for me, but that's what fell into my lap. So I kind of, as things happen in my life, that was one of those things that just fell into my lap, and I wasn't ready. I was terrified when I put out the campaign. I was on my back porch crying just in terror. I mean, really, because I was like, oh my God, these are all my personal stories. This is my 5th try. What if I fail? What if nobody wants to buy this book? And what if it's over? Then what do I do? And so that's how this one happened. So it's been kind of a long journey. It's still really scary. So, yeah. But it fell into my lap. So I think you have to follow those things sometimes, even when you're really scared. If something just falls into your lap, you have to go, okay, this fell into my lap. Maybe this is what I need to do,
Yeah. So you kind of just touched on it a little bit, but I want to know if you'll go a little bit deeper. The idea of fear and moving forward from that. You brought up a couple of different times where you've been apprehensive or fearful and just kind of kept moving forward. But how do you think about those times and make sure that you do push yourself forward to keep going and not just, let's say, succumb to your immediate feelings at that moment?
Yeah, I've struggled with that for a long time. I think that's why my first book is coming out when I'm about to be 40, because myself and I really let it just kind of win. And I think for me, what happened was I got sick and I really thought I was going to die for a while. And I was like, okay, Elizabeth, if not now, when? What do you have to lose at this point? You either do it or you don't, and that's it. It's kind of up. And so I think just even now when I get afraid, I remind myself that I want a different life for myself. I want to be a writer. I want to be an artist. Am I going to sit here and just want that and not do it because I'm afraid? Or am I really going to try? And then when I get into that mindset where I say, well, what if I fail? Then what? What do I dream about anymore? What's left? I just say, you know what? I'll just figure that out if that's what happens. And I'm not going to think about that. So I really try to live in the present moment as much as I can. And I'm a trained yoga teacher, so that helps me a little bit, but not a lot because I'm a naturally anxious person. But I think just reminding yourself that you have one life, you have finite time. I mean, I've had people dying that I know from COVID and from cancer and, all kinds of things. And like I'm starting to lose people and you just start to see that you think that, there's going to be, I actually have an essay in the book called There's Never a Perfect Time. you think that you're going to eventually get to this perfect time. Like for me, I was going to not have the financial pressure, not have the corporate job. I was going to be calm. The weather would be nice because it's an inferno in Texas and it makes me stressed out. Whatever it was, I would think, well, that's going to come at some point and then I'll be able to write. And I actually write in that essay about how I just sat down that day and I was like, no, all of that stuff is in my head that I think that I need. And this whole book was written while I was working other jobs. And I really thought, well, I can't do that because it takes everything away from me. It doesn't take everything, it takes a lot. So it's just kind of reminding yourself that you do have time limits, that you do just have to kind of push through, and that a lot of the excuses you're making are really in your own head because you're afraid. For me, I was not just afraid of failure, but also afraid of success, because let's say this book does really well, then I have to like one up myself, the next time. And what if I can't? Oh my God, So, and then if it fails, it's like, oh my God, I have to go crawl under a rock because it failed and maybe I'm done. So I don't know if that answers the question, but.
It does. It does. Thank you. Thank you. So I'd like to hear more then about your current project, Indigo Sunrise. So what made you want to start a literary magazine?
Yeah, I'm really early in that, obviously, because I've been focusing on getting my book out. But it was kind of when like I said earlier, where I went back and said to myself, what am I really good at that I can contribute to the world besides writing? And I'm a really good editor, and I'm really good at knowing what good writing is, what good writing isn't, how to fix things so that it's stronger. And then, this whole idea that I have, and it may or may not play out, I don't know anymore, with anything. I just try things and see what sticks. But the whole idea that I had was kind of following along with what I'm trying to do with my book, which is add positivity to the world, kind of add truth, saying this is what life is, this is what it is to be human, this is what it is to live on planet Earth, and just kind of give people hope and understanding, and just be something kind of positive, even if we're talking about real things, like for me going through abuse and things like that. It's like I touch on it, but I want people to understand what I've learned from it. And so I wanted to just create a place where maybe other writers could come in with their own perspectives about what is true, in this life, and how can we have a more positive life, a more understanding life, a more kind life, and just more peaceful life, because that's something I'm always trying to find, is just peacefulness. Because I do have a lot of just demons from all the things that I've been through that I have to fight constantly. And so I just wanted to create something. I thought, well, I just managed a whole bunch of stuff for a multi-million-dollar corporation. Why can't I do it for myself? I've run a writing business before. That was what I did before I had to go back to corporate America. I can do this. The wild card is the financial viability part. So that's why I'm like, well, it could work. If I can figure something out, it depends on how well my book does, what else I need to do. So that's kind of where it came from and what I hope to do with it. So.
Okay. Oh, great, yeah. Great. Oh, yeah, that's right. So it's supposed to be launching later this year, potentially.
Yeah.
So that's good. I mean, you wrote it down and you're pushing it, and now we're talking about it. So that's already a good sign.
Yes. I have a website and everything. There's nothing there. I mean, there's like a, hey, coming soon. Yeah.
Well, good. Where did the name of the magazine come from?
I was first you have to see what domains are available, right? So I had like all these great ideas and they're all taken. But, from a spiritual sense, when you're meditating or, indigo is associated with like spiritual growth and connection to, a higher power and things like that. And so I chose the word indigo for that reason. And then the sunrise part, for me, I write about this too. Sometimes just going to sleep and waking up to a new day is like this fresh start. It just like cleans the grime off. And so I guess I just wanted to merge those two, where it's like, we're not just, people. We actually are spiritual people. We're more than just like skin and bones and all that. I don't know what all that is, but there is something more there. And we all go through crap, and every day we wake up and start again. And it's beautiful, and the sun is orange, and the birds are singing, and all of that. And so that's kind of where the name came from.
Excellent. So you've mentioned a couple of times, and through your journey of there being, we'll call them difficulties in one way or another, um, and abuse. So what resources would you recommend someone who is going through something difficult in their life? Have there been, particularly anything that you went to or read or experienced that helped you that someone else could also take advantage of?
Yes, therapy is really important. I'm not shy about that. I actually have a longtime therapist now that I've been seeing for about 15 years on and off. I saw her virtually, like on my little phone last week, and I was so happy. We had some technological difficulties,
Yeah.
but that's really important. I understand though, like I know now I lost my health insurance, so it's not accessible for a lot of people. She gave me a book to read about 15 years ago when my first marriage blew up, called Codependent No More by Melanie Beatty. And that was a book really that changed my life, because when you grow up a certain way, you're just trying to fix people all the time, and you lose who you are and you become enmeshed with other people. And I was just floating around, and I kept choosing people in my life that needed help and needed fixing, because it would make me feel better about myself. And reading that book really opened my eyes to just something different. A book I read recently that really kind of changed my mindset was called The Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukov. And it's just kind of more about like, who are we? Where do we come from? What are we doing here? And it just kind of changed my thinking process. There's a lot of really good books out there. There's really good podcasts out there of people. I mean, I'm sure this is a fabulous one, but not for like,
Yeah, no, I get
you're
it.
struggling with mental
Right.
with mental health stuff. I mean, I know there's stuff specifically for that. For me,
Mm-hmm.
just having that counselor there for so many years, and bless her, she saw me in 2009, 2010 for free because I had no money and I'd lost everything, and I will never forget that. She's just a kind person. But I think having somebody safe, and then I have a husband now who is really my partner, and he's very safe. I think it's just really a process. I'm still at almost 40 trying to process things. So I'm always looking for new stuff, but those are the things that kind of come to mind that help
Sure.
me most.
Sure. Thank you. So with everything that you have done and experienced so far, what would you say has been the best advice that you have ever been given?
Honestly, and it came from, to be totally transparent, it came from an abusive boyfriend, but it was the best advice that I ever got, which was fake it till you make it. I know that sounds really cliche, but when I was trying to start my writing business, I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. It's fake it. You will know after a time or two, and then you can run with it. And I still kind of do that to this day. If I don't know something, like the first time I recorded a podcast, I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? And I was really scared. And I was like, I'm just going to fake it. And then the next time it'll be easier. And so I really try to do that. And just trying to live in the present is just a really good thing to do. It's just say, okay, right now I'm okay. Right now I'm not falling flat on my face. Or if I am, it'll change tomorrow. It's whatever. And so, yeah.
Wonderful. So, Elizabeth, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I really appreciate it. If the listeners would like to buy your book or read more of your writing, where is the best place they can go for all of those?
I have a website. It's just elizabethchaynes.com, and I have a blog on there. I've also got just a tab on there that says buy my book, and you can read an excerpt there. You can read the back cover. You can see the cover. It's very pretty. They did a great job. There's a kitty on there with some cozy socks. It's so me. And so you can also pre-order if it's not yet available. Once it's available in August, you'll be able to buy directly through there. It will be on Amazon. It'll be in any bookstore. You can go in and ask for it. But that's kind of my hub, is my website. And then I'm pretty active on LinkedIn if you want to follow me there.
Okay, great. So I will put all those links in the show notes so people can click right through. Awesome. Well, again, Elizabeth, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Advance Your Art podcast. If you like this episode, please go into iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. And while you're there, hit the subscribe button so that every single time I release a new episode, you'll
will go directly to you without even thinking about it. If you're interested in hearing older episodes, please go to advanceyourart.com where you can